There we go. So I started recording. So where we left off on Tuesdays, we finished up lesson 8 with templates. And then I began talking about that once we have created a template, we use it to as a base for adding content to other pages. So that's what we're doing here. We have several finished pages that we can take a look at. Here is the news finished page. Here is the contact us page, which we will be working on today, I believe. There's the tips page, which we should be working on today. Okay, that I believe I explained on Tuesday. This involves unordered lists. And we have the about page, which is what we already created. Okay. Now, in addition to that, we should have an events page. There we go. This is the hardest one, and we will not tackle that today. We'll do that next week. So that may take us through the end of next week, and that will take us into spring break. So to insert tables, take an existing content from a table and style it, takes a bit of work. Once it's done, you want to make sure that it's saved and you are set to go. Okay, so let's start with the finished news. So all we're doing is adding content, but then we're creating some additional styling. One of the things that I want to point out with regard to the styling is that remember that using proper syntax is important. And part of that syntax is using the heading tags, H1 through H6. And so far, we've only used H1 and H2. We haven't even used H3 tags. But as you recall, if we go into the header itself, and I click on the green start logo, remember that's an H2 tag. And that was styled to make it, to use a particular font and to also with a particular size and color and everything. If we go into the finished version here that we have in the main article, okay, here for the content that we will be adding, we have an H2 tag here. Notice that it's styled very differently, but again, that's all results in how you assign a selector to it and create a custom class. And then the third one for the sidebar 2, we have an H2 tag here. All three of these are H2 tags, but have a very distinct, different appearance. And so for every time you want to do that, you need to isolate it, typically using the box model we talked about early on in lesson 3, I believe, on the CSS from the textbook, to isolate it and to be able to customize it. So anytime you want to make something uniquely different. We even did that for the start up here. We had to create a class called logo white, and we put that inside a span tag in order to make this distinct from the rest. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new file based on the template that we created, and I'm going to go ahead and we'll begin to add content, and I'll show you how we need to add a few things to customize the styling of it. So I'll go to File, and I want to add a new file. And it's going to be based on my green template. I'm going to go ahead and create. All right. Again, I can tell it's a template. It's a child page based on a template because I have, right off the start, I have these editable tags that are visible. So where I need to start, and we'll start with the main content in here. And some of it we're just going to add by hand. So I'll leave that an H1 tag, but I'm going to type in green news. So some things are easiest just to type in yourself. And remember, by selecting it and getting that little orange box around that, that enables you to to type it in, or I could go into the code view. So for example, where it has the subheading, we want this to be, here, let's go ahead and I'll do that in the code view. So I'll highlight where it says add subheading here, and then I'll just begin to type in the code view. And what I want is to say read, whoops, can't type. The latest Echo News and commentary for and about, whoops, can't, as I said, I can't type. That should be for, not fro. For and about Meridian. There we go. So there's our subheading here. Now I want to add content down here. So I can click down there and I can either add it, in the code view, or we can, because it is fairly extensive, I can copy and paste from another source. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to copy and paste it. It's already been broken down into paragraphs for us. So what I want to do is I want to look at files. And what I have is, here's that Green News RTF that they provided for us, which stands for rich text format. So this would be a lot to type by hand. But if you've been given this by a client or by a copywriter, I can go ahead and I can select all. Now, because by clicking in here, okay, notice that this is just rich text format. It has not been formatted in any way. So if I select all and I Command A and I copy, and I'll set that aside, okay? Then if I come back here and I click on the P tag like so, and I paste, okay? Remember the mistake that I've made in the past? That if let me undo that and I'll try to make it fail for us. So if I click in here and I leave that in the edit mode and I paste, watch what happens. All those paragraph breaks that were assigned in the rich text format are gone. It's just one big paragraph. And you can go in there line by line and reformat it and assign the appropriate tag to it, whether it's a heading, whether it's a paragraph tag, whatever. But I don't want to do that. That takes too much trouble. So I'm going to go ahead and click again and make sure that just the P tag is selected. It's highlighted in blue, and then paste it. And now I have all of these here. Now I can go back where it says add content here, select the tag, and then I'm going to go ahead with it all highlighted. I can delete so that it's gone. So to get it formatted the way we want each of these where there currently exists as P tags, we want them to be heading tags. So there's a variety of ways that we can do that. I can go into the code by selecting in the edit mode here. And instead of using the P tag, I can change it manually in the code to H2. So that's one way of doing it. And this is typically the way I do it. It may be a little tedious and probably, not as elegant, but it works. And another way of doing that too is I can select down here the next line, and I can click here and make sure that it's in blue. And I can hit Command T. Okay. So instead of, I want to edit the tag from here, and this is probably the easiest way of doing that, is now instead of a P tag, I can, put H2. Okay. And now it's an H2 tag. So you want to do that for each one of these main headings. And I think I like that best. Instead of a P tag, I'm going to go to Command T or Control T if you're on a PC and change it from a P tag to an H2 tag. Hit the Tab key and that changes that. We have any more paragraphs in here? Oh, you know what? I selected too much. Oh, my. I did. I selected too much of the text. So let's go back again. I'm going to undo. Yeah. Oh, boy. My bad. See, I'm not paying attention. Because I have here, it goes all the way down. You know what? No, that is correct. That is all of what we want. So let me redo that. Let's go back a few steps. We have any more? Yeah, recycling isn't always green. So that would be the other one. Try to click inside here. Come on. Sometimes, I don't know what it is with Dreamweaver, that sometimes it's just really difficult. Even though I'm clicking in here, it isn't clicking where I want it to. So, you know, let me try instead, go to the code view. So let me click in here. So I have that paragraph selected. And then we're, again, right above it. And it's kind of hard to see where it has fireplace, fun or folly. I'll just change it to an H2 tag from here. So you can do it either way. Doesn't really matter. There we go. That's it. So what we're going to do now is we want to, you know, stylize the H2 tag in here to make it look uniquely different. So to do that, because you'll notice that I have an H2 tag at the very top, I have one here, and I want this H2 tag to look even more different. So how do I do that? Well, I'm going to put it inside what is called a section. So to do that, I'm going to go and I'm going to do this manually where it says green buildings earn more green. Okay. Right after that preceding H2 tag, I'm going to add a section tag. I could also use the DOM to do that as well. Let me go ahead and move my little thing down here. But I'm going to do it manually. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a section tag. Come on. There we go. Section tag. Section tags are used a lot to isolate various aspects. So there's the opening tag. Now I need to go to the end of where it says energy waster. So where is that? Down here. Which paragraph? I have 1, 2, 3 paragraphs. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult, so I'll go ahead and I'll select the paragraph. Oh, come on. I want it to be at the end of this paragraph right here. Why is it giving me fits here? There we go. So there's the paragraph. Energy waster, there we go. So at the end of it, again, I'm going to put my cursor, hit the return key and put the closing tag for section. Whoops, I don't want a new opening tag. I want a closing tag. There we go. And it knew that I had one before. Okay. So this grouping here, if I click inside any part of this and I go down to my tag selector, you can see that I have a paragraph selected. And then I have what is called a section. And if I click that, notice that there's a little blue box around the H2 tag and the 3 paragraphs. Now, if I want to encompass everything else, if I click the article, that selects all of that, all of the other stuff. Notice that it doesn't break down the other paragraphs for me. Well, I want the section to be selected. Now I'm going to make this H2 tag look a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead to CSS Designer, and I'm going to go ahead and add a new one. And what I want to do is I don't want it to be row, column 4, whatever. It's going to be section. Can't spell it. H2. Okay. So let me go ahead and let's select and see if it's highlighted, and it is. Okay. If it isn't highlighted in the background in blue, then it's not affecting it. And then that means that I have incorrectly named this. Now I'm ready to add properties. So I want to turn off show set, and I can select all, and I don't want bootstrap. I want green styles selected. So let me do that again. I want heading or section should be at the very end. Where did I go here? Let's come back in here. I want section H2. Sometimes these are difficult to add. Come on. Section row, section bar. I don't see it. So let me go back again and let's look at current. This is what I want right here. So I'll just use current instead. It was a little bit easier to select. So to add the right properties to this, what I want to do is I'm going to refer to the textbook so that we're going to change the color and we're going to change the a few other things here. So I have section H2. So I'm going to go ahead into the margins. We're going to change that a little bit. To the top, we're going to add 15. To the bottom, we're going to add 5 pixels. So, you know, everything that you want to be different has to be, come on. There we go. So 15, the bottom margins, I want 5. And then it hops around and it's very annoying. Okay, so that's the first thing we want. Now the color, which affects the type, we want the color of this to be 090, which we've used before. The selector is, hold on, Casey. Let me go ahead and add this and then I'll answer your question. 090. There we go. There we go. So now it's green. Now I need to change the size. When you make the section a new selector, is it under Bootstrap or Green Styles? And the question is, it will be Green Styles. Okay. So Bootstrap we leave alone. We don't generally add to that, although there are a few things that we do add. We want to change the font size to 170%. So that's good when that disappears because that lets we know that it's correctly affecting it. So I want it to be 170%. There we go. So it's the right size, and we want it to be bold. So that would be font style, and we want it to be, no, why isn't it here? Font weight, my mistake. We want it to be bold. There we go. So now we've styled it, but you'll notice that when we look under these other groups, That has an H2 tag, but why isn't that styled like this one? Because it's not contained inside a section tag. So let's go ahead now, and what we can do, this time I am going to go ahead and I'm going to select the whole select section here. Okay, so now I have, that's that section. I want to, but I don't have another one. So let's select the H2 down here, the next one. I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to select all the way down to the last paragraph. So all of these are selected. And hopefully I've selected the right ones. That's why I like doing this manually sometimes. And what I can do now is I can go ahead and I can add, and I want it to wrap around the whole thing. And I don't want a general div, I want a section. Okay. So as soon as that's been added, yeah, see, I added too much. So I'm going to undo it. So let's go back again. I'm going to select this H2 tag, not that one, this one. And I'm going to hold down the Shift key and select that paragraph, that one, and that one. There we go. Now let's try again. Wrap the tag around it, and let's go ahead and add a section tag. Hit the return key. Okay. So that's H2. So why isn't that being affected? See, that's interesting. I'm going to go ahead and select here. And you know what? I may have goofed. Maybe, Casey, you're right. If I come back here, that might be, I don't want, I goofed. I want that to be added to green styles. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. I don't want inline style. I'm going to go ahead and to green styles. Let's go back. So let me turn off current and just say select all, select green styles, and then add the selector, because that's what I meant to do. I want to go ahead and select, let me undo again, because I'm losing track of where I am. I need to go ahead and add, there we go. So now I want it to be section. Come on. H2. H2. Okay, so I added it incorrectly. I added it, you know. So now what I need to do is I need to go back and do the same thing that I had done before. And I'm going to go back and show set. Okay. So let's look at that other one that was under, I need to go back a few steps. I'm just going to move forward with this and hopefully I can correct my mistake. That's something that normally I would do. I'm going to go ahead and pause for a minute and see if, okay, let's try again and see if I fix this. So what I want to do now for the H2 tag is I'm going to go back again, and I mistakenly added it to Bootstrap. So instead, what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a selector, making sure that green styles and global is selected. And I'm going to go ahead here, and this should be section H2. There we go. And now with section H2 added, I'll try again, because when I apply sections to the other groups, then it should automatically change, the H2 should automatically change to the settings that we specified here. So I'm going to go ahead in the top. And again, I'm going to put in 15 pixels. And the bottom, I'm going to put 5 pixels. Sorry for the repetition here. We want the color to be 090. So put in 090, that's that green that we've used before. Okay, that should change that. That's good. And the size that we want and the font, we want the size to be 170%. $170. But you know, even though I'm making these mistakes, it's important to note that that I stopped when I realized that it wasn't applying the proper rule to these other H2 tags. It's important that you do stop and go back and retrace your steps, and hopefully, you know, we can make amends to this. So now what I'm going to do, and this will be the real test, is selecting here and then going to the bottom before the next one. So I'll hold down the Shift key and select these. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wrap the tag around it. And I'm going to add the section tag to it. Now it works. So I fixed my problem. If you recall, before it didn't add the green styled H2 tag, and I knew that I had done something wrong. And so, Casey, your question was spot on. I accidentally added it to Bootstrap, not green styles. I wasn't paying attention. So now I can do it to the same to the next. I can go ahead and I can select the H2 tag here, and I can either do it manually, which I think I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and just add a section tag here. Whoops. And then to the end of that, I'll add a closing tag. And then we'll do the same for the last one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add a closing tag. And that should fix the next one. And it did. We just have one more to go. So now I'll go ahead and I'll add a section tag to it. I don't know why, but sometimes I prefer, maybe I feel I have more control adding the tags in the code view. It's a little bit more tedious, but I don't know. It keeps me on my toes and make sure that everything is correctly styled and to stop when things aren't working right. I have the feeling that the heading 2 up here is the wrong size as well, but that's for another time. What we can do is I can show you how to add. We're going to add quotes, and there's a variety of different ways of doing that. What I can do is I have the quotes section here that they provided for us. And you'll notice that it's broken down into news, tips, contact us. So for all the different pages that we're working on in lesson 9, we're adding quotes. Now there's various ways of doing this. What I could do is I could just go ahead and I could cut, because this is in code view. You'll notice that the quotes text is simply, it's in code view when I've opened it. So what I could do is I could highlight just the quote itself and I can copy it. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my page, my untitled page. And then in code view, where it says add quotation here, I'm going to go ahead and highlight the text and just paste it. And it's added my quote. Now I can either put in, I can go back to the quotes where it's by John Muir. I can, by John Muir, I can add that by hand, or if I'm not sure of the spelling sometimes, you know, I can go ahead and I can copy that from here. I can go back to my untitled page that I just created. And then in the site section here, I can go ahead and I can paste that. So I have John Muir pasted. Now I want to add more quotes. So remember, in order to do that, you need block quotes. But what I can do is I can go ahead and rather than take you through all of this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to highlight in code view the entire block quote from the opening tag to the closing tag, and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go ahead and then in code view, I'm going to go ahead and hit the return key a couple of times and I'm going to paste. Then all it does is that it duplicates it. Now I can go back to what I had before here. And now we can try Sidney Sheldon. Okay, so I will go back and it's easier just to copy his quote, but to remember who he is, and I'll type that in by hand. So I'll go ahead and I'll copy that. I'll go back to my untitled page. And then in the block quote where it says keep close to our heart, okay, that one that I copied, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paste that. So now I've put in a separate one. And instead of just, pasting Sidney Sheldon, and instead of using John Muir, I'll just type it in. So Sidney Sheldon. So again, whatever works for you to add the content, but we already have it styled. Likewise, we want to add to the sidebar too. We want to add content to it. And again, we have an H2 tag that will be styled in there. So I'm going to go back to, we don't want quotes. I think what I want, if I go back and I remember correctly, I go to styles and I go to sidebar 2:9. That's what I want. So I'm going to make sure that that is open. That's text. Okay. So here it is. This is what we have for the news page. And again, this is all in code view. So I can go ahead and I can highlight the whole thing. If I can grab it, there we go. We'll go ahead and Command C to copy it. We'll go back to the untitled page. And then I want to go back inside. And I'm going to go ahead and paste it inside. I'm going to go ahead and select because I think they may have, I'm going to go back and I'm going to look, I'm going to try something here. I may goof up, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and select the entire aside. And I'm going to go ahead and paste. And I'm going to go back to the live view and see what I have here. And it brought it in, but it goofed it up. So that wasn't a smart way of doing that. So I'm going to undo that. Okay. So again, anytime you're working with these, sometimes it, it pays to maybe come back in here. And instead of working with the H2 tag, I'm going to go ahead and I'll leave the H2 tag there, but in the paragraph, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paste everything in there and see what I get. And that looks pretty good. That conforms the way I want it. But if I look at the finished product, and this is something that you might want to do, let's go to news finished. You can see that we have two H2 tags. We have high-speed rail, and we have Germany hits 20% in renewables. So I'm going to go back to my Untitled, and I'm going to go back and highlight where it says high-speed rail. I'm going to go ahead and just do it in code view. And again, it's already broken down into a paragraph tag. So I'm going to put this as an H2. And then after tracks, I'm going to put in an H2, a closing tag for H2. And then before private investors, I need to put the opening tag for the paragraph tag. So a paragraph. There we go. So that's formatted properly. Okay. And then I need to do the same for the other. Now, all of this has been put inside a section tag as well, each one of these groups. Again, to specify what we want to do in here. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight the whole thing. So I have my H2 and I have my closing tag here. Let's go back down here. These should all be in separate paragraphs, I believe. Let's go back to the finished. Yeah, each of those are separate paragraphs, so those have to be put in paragraph tags. So go back here, and so each one of those groupings, that's an opening tag. Here's a closing tag. So that's a paragraph. Then I'll put a paragraph for the next one. And then after that, I'll make sure that that has a closing tag. Oops. So now it's broken down into the right paragraphs where it says add sidebar here. That's an H2 tag that I don't need. So I'll highlight that and I'll get rid of it. There we go. Let's go back. And it looks like I have that. There we go. Let's undo that. So let's undo that one more time. So I need to get rid of the whole H2 tag. There we go. There we go. Now hopefully this fits properly. There we go. So now it's fitting properly. But like we did with the text here, I need to take it and I need to put it inside a section tag. So I can either do that in code view or I can select it all from here. So I'm going to just do it in code view and put in a section tag. So, and all of this is in preparation for styling it so that I can make it unique and, you know, different from the H2 from all the other H2s. So there we have that. So now I can come back over to my, my designer. I can come back in here and I can select anywhere inside the section. So let's try to select inside. Whoops, wrong section. There we go, over here. And now what I want to do is I want to select the section. So all of that is selected. And now I can add a one to that. So again, so that I don't goof up again, I need to make sure that I select green styles, global, and add. Okay. So now I want this to be, oh shoot, because it's a little bit different. This is because it is in the side 2. Okay. What I want that to do, I got to make sure that I use the right thing here. Not going as smoothly as I hoped today. But this should be, I'm going to put, oh, it's sidebar 2. That's just, you have to remember what it's named. So this is going to be sidebar 2, 2 space, and this is going to be H2. There we go. Okay. So you'll notice that it's changed because it's in a section tag. It's now adopted the styling that I added for this section tag over here. Notice that this hasn't changed. because I haven't changed it. So Germany needs to be changed to an H2 tag. And then, yeah, this is going a little bit slower today than I thought. I thought I'd get more accomplished today. My apologies. I won't be so sluggish on the next day. So let's go ahead and put Germany hits 20% in renewables. So I'll put that in an H2 tag. And a closing tag for that. Okay, so that should change that. But then remember, I need to make sure that the paragraphs are added for the others. So I'm going to go ahead and let's put a paragraph at the beginning of this one. So that should be a P tag. Let's put a paragraph around this one. And I'm not being very consistent about where I'm putting it, but I am putting it in the right locations. So that breaks that down. Okay, but notice that the H2 tag here isn't being styled correctly. Okay. It's breaking it down nicely into the sections, but notice how Germany hits 20% in renewables isn't styled correctly because that needs to be put inside a section tag as well. So I'll go ahead and hit the return key, put a section key between, right before the H2 tag section. And then right after, but before the ending of the aside. So put in, there we go. So everything should be styled correctly now. There we go. A lot of work. This should have gone much quicker. Now the next step is to save it. So I'm going to name it file, save as, and I'm going to name it Green Styles Working File. In case I need to come back in, or Green News Working File. Okay, so that's saved. But now remember, the page is saved, but the style sheet isn't. So I need to remember to go to File, Save All, to make sure that those are saved as well. Otherwise, when I upload the file later on to my host, nothing will be styled correctly. Okay, so that's taking us about to the end. What we're going to work on next, that's Green News, is we're going to work on green tips. Now, rather than bring all of this stuff in here, the quotes, which took me longer than I anticipated, and the same for the right side or sidebar 2. I think we do have time to show you an unordered list. So let me give that a go before we end today. That's pretty much where I wanted to. I was hoping to get us through Contact Us as well. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new file. And I want to use the my green template. So we have our subheading, and I'm going to forego everything here with the exception of the content to show you what we're going to do with the unordered list. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to go back to, I don't want quotes. I need to look at, let's look at files here. And I need to look at green tips, rich text format. So here's the green tips. That's, okay, this was news. I'll close it. Here's tips. Okay, so again, I'm going to select all. I'm going to copy. And again, make sure that it's blue when I highlight the P tag, and then I can paste. Okay. So now I can get rid of the add contents here. So with that blue, I can hit delete. And we want at home to be an H2 tag. So let me see, go ahead and change that. Select it from P to T, and I want it to be H2. And let's do that for the next ones as well. And sometimes it's hard to decipher which is which here. So that was at home. Then the next one is at work. So I'll select this one. See, these are all paragraph tags and kind of difficult to discern which is which sometimes, and it takes you a moment to go through the code and to figure out what's going on here. So we have at work, in the community, that would be another one. And I don't know if I've got all these right or not, but Command T, H2. I'm hitting the return key twice. And now I need to put each of these in a section so that it properly styles the H2 tags. But more importantly, what I'm going to do is, rather than just see each of these paragraphs line by line, what I can do is I can switch from live view. Let me go ahead and put this inside, all of this inside a section tag first, because that's what we're going to be doing anyway. So I want that to be a section tag. Again, sections are just a nice way of isolating. And then this is going to be before at home or at work. It'll be the closing tag for that. Okay, so that's inside a group. Now what I can do is I can switch. I can either select them all from here, or it might be easier for me to switch from live to design view. And now what I can do is I can highlight all of these. It's harder to do it in live view. Why? I don't know. And with all of these paragraphs highlighted, I can now down in the sections tag, or in the properties tag, I can select unordered list. Now notice that I have those bullet points added to each of those. And I can switch from design view and I can go back to live view. And I can see that this is styled much nicer. And aside from being styled much nicer, it also, it aids in the readability of this. Instead of having, you know, each of these separate lines without bullet points, it's much easier for readability to use unordered lists. If you would rather have an ordered list, then you can do that. Okay, so I think I'm gonna call it quits for today. Or wait a minute, I do have a little bit of time left. It is 10:56, so let's go ahead and around at work. Let's go ahead and put a section tag around that, and let's do the same thing and make sure that that's properly styled. So there's a section tag. Let's go to the end of it. And put my closing tag. And then hit the return key, and I'm going to put a section tag around the next group. And then go to the end of in the community. And again, put my, but before the end of the closing tag for the article, and put my closing tag for that. You may notice, no, that's not right. I want that to be. I don't want that to be main. That should be section. Let's see if they're all styled correctly. They are. Then probably one of the last things that I need to do now is, again, just switch from live view to design view. And then again, it's easier, you know, in design view for whatever reason to highlight it all, to turn it into, now in the community, why don't I have, oh, because there we go. That got put inside there. Notice that my section tag, that's where one little mistake can be a whole, make a whole difference. I didn't put the closing. There we go. I didn't put the right caret for section. That made all the difference in the world for that properly styling in the community. So let's go ahead and highlight all of this. So again, it doesn't take much to goof up. It really doesn't. It doesn't take much at all. So please, as you're working on these, go ahead and pause if you see that something, when you've made a change, that if it isn't working, that you need to stop and reevaluate and say, you know, where did I goof up? Okay. So this is really the core of this section, and I'll leave it at that. You can go ahead and put in the heading, the subheading, and add the contents to the right side and the sidebar to the left with the quotes, and they should already be styled and ready to go. So running up against our hour here. And again, it took me a little bit longer than I anticipated, but we got everything worked out. And I'll go ahead and I'll save this one as well. I'm gonna go ahead and say save as. And we'll name this one Green Tips Working File. Okay, and that should be saved correctly. Now I haven't made any changes to the CSS and everything is working just fine. So I don't need to save all. So, are there any questions today? Did I leave everybody in the dust with my hiccups? Or is everybody good to go? This is pretty much what we're going to be doing for a good chunk of the remainder of the lessons, is learning different ways of adding content. And in lesson 10, after we complete lesson 9, we're going to go back to images again and understand different ways to add images to your pages and to make sure that they flow properly and are displayed correctly in different formats and different screen sizes and that sort of thing. And then some of the things at the very end, notice that we will have created any number of pages for ourselves. But none of them are linked. So that what we need to do in lesson 11 is we need to now take all those pages that we've created and we need to learn how to link them one to another. And that will be a challenging lesson as well, as we're going to add a drop-down menu to where in green events, and we're going to add anchor tags so that when you click on a specific anchor tag, it goes to a section of the page. Okie doke. So that's it for today. I'm gonna say goodbye. Everybody have a good weekend. Unless you have any questions. And that will be it for us. So you should be working on lesson 9. You should be working on your MobiRise website. Just use the same content, if you wish, from your Wix website, or maybe add to it, refine it, embellish it, to make a nice working website, and we will publish that very soon too. Okay? No questions? No? Okay. Then I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to stop recording.